a lot of this looked like John Wick, and I was kind of glad because I like John Wick movies a lot. But I was so entertained by this film that I call it John Wick 5 if you want. I don't care. I really loved it.
They even had a freaking dog in it. No, that can be tongue-in-cheek, and I applaud that big time.
And they do address John Wick in the movie,
They
too.
do. Like he actually says, you like John Wick? Here's some...
It's part of the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
That they're in.
I wasn't even sure if he was talking to Dev Patel's character or he was talking to us in the theater seats. Go watch, then come listen or view us. It's the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Monkey Man, a young man transforms into a warrior and methodically executes his plan to slay the corrupt leaders who killed his mom and threaten his people.
If a man wishes to challenge the gods, he must become more than a man. He must become a beast.
Plus, we have a big question to round out our episode. What are some of the best lines of dialogue that ended a movie? They were the last things said in a movie, and you're going, wow.
A lot of folks from the first trailer were immediately going the John Wick route, right? I mean,
Sure.
Gover's one of them, and that's okay because the first trailer definitely gave those vibes. Nothing against that, right?
There's
Probably
so
intentional.
much. Yeah.
Very much intentional to grab your attention because it is basically one man seeks vengeance, ghost kicks lots of ass. Like
Yes. Right.
that's the basis of John Wick, right? And then you get
Sure.
the whole lore of the society and things like that,
Right.
the assassins, all that, which is fine and great. And John Wick are fun movies. What I enjoyed about Monkey Man was that it was so much more than that. That yes, there was plenty of kick-ass fighting and amazing fight choreography, but there was depth to the film that I wasn't expecting, and I was very much pleasantly surprised that we got in terms of character development, the reason why, culture, society, fighting for what's right, standing up for other people. There was so much more to this film that pleasantly surprised me and made me enjoy it even more. Because yes, there was some build-up, there was some slow, there's some rough around the edges as well. It's his directorial debut, right? You're gonna expect some of that, but for everything that Dev Patel had to overcome to make this movie happen, which includes shooting with a phone, including staff and crew and everything as other members in the film and as extras, running out a movie, having to go to Jordan Peele and get his support as well too. Everything it took made me appreciate it even more because I really enjoyed this film a lot. I loved it. It was so fun. We saw new ways for people to be offed, as Gover loves, because
Always my favorite.
the big thing to me was when I'm sitting next to Gover in the screening and I just see his hand come out with a thumbs up.
I forgot I did that.
Yeah.
It was incredible to see because I'm like, okay, there's something new that surprised Gover.
That was
as well.
the one.
That was one of the ones.
new way to kill a person that
And some
Gover
head
approved
shakes.
of.
Yeah.
Yes.
And during these fight sequences, the crowd reaction of it means people are into it and loving what they're watching as well too. But it was so much more than fight scenes and fight choreography. There was depth to the film that I truly enjoyed, and I love the score. I love the music choices as well too, especially when you mix in Indian culture and you mix in hip hop and so much else when it comes to music from the score and the soundtrack. And we got a movie like this set in a completely different type of culture. I really enjoy that exploration as well too. So overall, I greatly enjoyed this movie.
Excellent. Gover, you want to defend yourself because you were one of the, the Wick, Dev Patel, Monkey Man connection people.
I did think that it was very John Wick-ish. I still think that to a degree, but obviously there was a lot more than that, as Bradford said. There's 2 points that I'll bring in. Well, 3, I guess, because you mentioned the clever ways to off people. Is Gover approved.
All right.
Okay. Monkey Man is Gover approved on how to off people. The first...
You better make a badge and a seal.
Start handing them out at theaters. Yeah, this is pretty good. The first one was the way he comes up with his name, Bobby, was very Usual Suspects.
Right.
When
Because he actually never reveals his name.
Right.
Like, they just call him Kid, but he never reveals his name. Yeah,
That's
he
right.
uses Bobby because he sees the name Bobby in front of him.
Yeah, because in Usual Suspects, Verbal is being interrogated, and he looks around and starts picking out things in the room, and that becomes the whole plot of the... So,
I love Lamp.
Yeah.
yes. It's excellent.
Yes.
There was too much excessive, shaky POV cam for me. That's a personal touch, though. Please understand, I'm not blasting the movie for that, because I know some people love that guerrilla film. They love that crap. I don't. It bothers me, but that's just me. I'm not working that against my grade. It's just an observation that I had.
Okay, fair.
And then the last thing was, for my initial takes anyway, is again, the preview, they set it up like a John Wick, okay, an Indian John Wick. Mm-hmm. And that essentially is what it became. Maybe not the whole movie, but at the end, the last probably, I'll say third, it was essentially John Wick going out. They even had a freaking dog in it. Now, that can be tongue-in-cheek, and I applaud that big time.
And they do address John Wick in the movie,
They
too.
do. He actually says, you like John Wick? Here's some...
It's part of the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I wasn't even sure if he was talking to Dev Patel's character or he was talking to us in the theater seats.
It's like, we get it kind of thing.
But I like it because they just kind of, then they got it out of their way.
John Wick isn't the only type of movie that's like that either. John Wick just did it very, very well.
Exactly.
For sure. Look, we can go on and on about the John Wick comparisons. Others have. I'm just saying that, to me, they were not able to shake that completely from the trailer. The trailer impression that they put on me was that, it's just another John Wick with Dev Patel. He's wearing a suit, killing people. I mean, it's essentially the same. He's even built the same body-wise. Like, it's the same type of thing. And then when I went to see the film, I was expecting, it's not really going to be like that. It's kind of a joke, easy, low-hanging fruit. It ended up kind of being like that. So that's my initial take.
Okay.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you on my initial take because it really is. I mean, the whole thing is a formula, and it's a formula that John Wick followed and so many other movies have followed. Just like you said, John Wick did it very well. I also felt that Dev Patel did it very well in this movie. Yes. As a director, as an editor, he was one of the co-writers of this movie, and he's obviously the star. I was riveted. I held my breath through at least a third of this movie. And a part of that was the artistic choice that, Gover, you didn't really care for, but I kind of dug, and it is like, hey, to each his own, that much of the action sequences and much of anything that's revenge-based in this movie is a very close-up shot, okay? So action, faces, boots, axes, necks, all kinds of stuff like that. It's really tight. And I think that's one of the reasons that I was just like, oh my gosh. And then like when the movie breathes a little bit in some of the flashbacks and in his while he's recovering from the pursuit and, things like that, when the movie slows down or when it shows maybe the secondary story, which is like the caste system of India and the differences between, the people who don't give a crap about people and don't even see fellow humans as humans, and then the people that are living in that poverty and under that, like when it went to wide shots, which maybe that's just simplistic, but I liked that choice.
That's not simplistic, Jim.
That
is a good creative choice because it's showing so much depth of the movie with that one.
It was logical, and yes, a lot of this looked like John Wick, and I was kind of glad because I like John Wick movies a lot. but it was really good because it did. It showed another side. So, like in John Wick, we have its own universe. This one is showing kind of a real universe, our IRL here, where we have extreme poverty and these extremely powerful people, and he's like going after them. So, I was so entertained by this film that I call it John Wick 5 if you want. I don't care. I really loved it.
Well, you do bring up an interesting point, Jim, because John Wick, in terms of the way it's based, is this whole world of assassins that pretty sure doesn't exist, in the way that they portray in that movie. Maybe it does, and we're just oblivious. But that's a whole realm of world, how all this happens in public,
right?
in John Wick movies. Whereas here, there's a sense of realism because we know stuff like this goes on around the world, where you have corrupt chiefs of police and government officials, and especially in a place like India where this can happen, it kind of brings that realism to it. And then you bring the realism of who he's fighting for and how he's standing up against this and why, that it's more than just revenge. And so I like that realism of it because it made me get into it and connect. Even though I've never experienced that, maybe connect to those characters. It's like he is standing up for someone. He's not necessarily a full hero, but he's a hero.
The fact that they let a character develop, they let the story develop, the plot, it let the audience into why he's doing this, because they trickled that, right? I just thought that was really, really cool. that I was set up essentially by the trailer and by the expectation and the similarities to John Wick, that the intensity was going to be right out the gate.
And then they throw you off.
Yes. And
with a little slow fuse.
Which I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, they develop a little bit too. And just like in One Love, how we see just a full-on exploration of culture and everything too, into Rastafarian culture, we got to look at Indian culture as well too, with Hanuman, the monkey god, and even looking at how transgender people have been part of Indian culture for thousands of years. They have their own goddess, they're considered warriors. I didn't know any of that. So exploring the culture as well too, and how it's been not new, but deeply rooted within Indian culture and subcultures, and how those people have been treated and how they've been represented, but also how they just have been present as well too. And we see that fight, we see balance there, we see so many different things. And I love that he took a step to put that in the movie, but also it's teaching as well too, that this is not some new fad. It is not something that's new to society. Mm-hmm. It has been there for thousands and thousands of years, been a part of culture and showing what they represented, and to have them be able to step up and become warriors and to fulfill their destiny as warriors too was really, really cool.
That was very satisfying.
It made me go and do more research on it as well too. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, the movie is represented. This isn't just something made up for the fact of the movie. It is a full-on exploration of culture in India and subculture in India too. And that's what I appreciate when movies are able to do that and help me learn a little bit more about their culture.
Yeah. And to build off of that, like one of my favorite little scenes in the movie is, because he has to recuperate while he's in their temple, right? And he's got to, build up his strength back. And then we have kind of the Rocky thing going on. And, he's training and he's getting back. But the training scene where he's hitting the punching bag, but he's going back and forth with the guy on the bongos, who I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but I've heard that he's a legendary musician known for that. That's awesome. And the way he would play the drums, and then Dev Patel's character, Kid, would have to, punch in that rhythm, and that back and forth, I thought was just like an amazing part of using, the music of that culture into the storyline, and to use it as a way to like build himself up and get back to his, revenge-worthy, bod.
Action movies need a good montage.
You need a montage.
You need a montage. That's a montage. It was a great montage.
All right, let's score Monkey Man, and we get a numerical value from Mr. Bradford, Justin Bradford. What you got for us?
All right, what I have is probably a pretty high score. I really enjoyed the film. I enjoyed just the process of it. I enjoyed taking it in. I enjoyed the audience interaction throughout the film as well too. Love Dev Patel and just his vision, the way he's able to act, but the fight choreography, seeing new ways for people to die was cool. And to where me, I'm sure, I don't know if you've overheard me, but I'm even going, like
I heard him.
Full on reacting because it's natural. And that's what you want in a movie like this, right?
Right.
You want audience to react.
Involuntary.
Yes, because that means they're interacting with your movie. And this movie requires some audience interaction to really get that feel of it. It provided that as well too in some of these fight sequences, and that means they had great choreography throughout it because it hit so well on the screen. It means they executed very, very well throughout it as well. But just the development of the story and the character development, and you think there wasn't necessarily that much dialogue throughout this film. There are so many sequences and scenes where it's just plotting and action and montage and everything too, but we still got full character development throughout the entire film.
Even though we don't even know his name.
Exactly. And throughout flashbacks throughout the movie, we got plenty of flashbacks to where we finally got to the point to we got the entire story. It was being teased all along. We know we're going to get something, right? Hoping we're going to get something. And finally gets to that point where they explain everything and the reason why he is seeking revenge. And I love the way they built up to that as well, too. Because by the time they did, it just feels so satisfying of, okay, we're fully on Bobby's side here. We want to see him exact that revenge because we have seen everything he has seen, what is going through his head throughout the entire movie. Finally to that point, and it's just That's the point, right? When it becomes, well, we're about to have some good fight sequences.
It's going to go down.
It's about to go down and get real. And so I just love the way they develop that as well, too. I think if you give this movie a chance and you go and watch it and you're ready to just have, I call it a feast for the eyes. Because the way that shot, the cinematography, the color throughout the film as well, too. There's the staging of everything is so well done. I give it an 8.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, Gover.
I did find myself rooting for the lead character to get his bloody revenge. So clearly I did emotionally respond to the story they were trying to tell. And for that, I give it its due. I genuinely hated the corrupt officer, whatever you want to call him, the
Kind of police chief.
that killed his mom. Yeah, like I genuinely did not like him to the point where I felt like I did when I watched $1 Million Baby, where you wanted to go through the screen and just exact a level of violence on a character.
Okay.
Even though it's a film, there was that kind. It wasn't the same, but it was very similar to that. So I felt for that kid as well, the kid, and then of course the kid was good. Okay. This is a stereotypical action movie.
Oh, God.
Listen, except for they actually do put a level of drama in the story that is not found in many. So I'm talking about if you're just looking at the lights and flashes and the action scenes and the adrenaline and all that, it's stereotypical. But you need to pay attention to the story, and for that I give it its full credit. The problem is I don't know if I'm going to remember this movie in about 6 months. When I'm kind of doing our mid-year, hey, what have we seen? What are the best 10 or whatever? I'm not even sure I'm going to remember this. And so for all those reasons, I give it a 7.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I was really expecting worse.
Well, I say Dev Patel has proved he's a leading man. He's got charisma. As an actor, I thought he did a great job with this movie, especially knowing that he was directing and editing himself. That has gone horribly in so many ways. But, this movie is visceral, and like it is it's high intensity when it does ratchet up. And to me, I remember those scenes more than I did the lulls in the action, which are necessary because you can't always be up here. But I just thought, like, this, did it bring a whole lot new to the table? Maybe a little with the setting and some of the real life, Mumbai-like, stuff that it brought that other movies have not so far in our culture. But it's still a formula movie, but it does have, I think, all of it really, really, really well. My only nitpicky part of this film was there were a couple of seconds where there's music playing, but there's a bell that gets rung, and it's a gong. And immediately I'm thinking, well, that felt very kind of Rocky-esque, right? Until at the certain beat, I hear gong. And then I start hearing this simmering soundtrack coming up, and it sounded exactly like the Top Gun theme from Hans Zimmer.
Okay, I heard that too.
And you heard that too?
I heard it too, yes.
Thankfully, I'm not the
Yes.
only one, because I'm going, it sounds like they just lifted that and just tossed it in there as an Easter egg or something, but I don't think they did. And like, I'm taking a couple points off of that because it took me out of the movie. It was one of the few times it came out. So bottom line is I really, really enjoyed it. Nitpick about the one gong or two gongs. I'm giving Monkey Man is an 8, solid 8.
Wow.
So even with Gover's butts, still pretty good.
I enjoyed it.
You scared me. You love setting things up.
The dramatic tension was there.
For drama.
I was waiting for a 3
I
or
was
something.
waiting. No, I was waiting for a 5.5
Madam
or
Web
6.
and Monkey Man.
I was
Don't
waiting
name
for
your movie with an M.
Jim, with the way he set it up, did it feel like he was coming with a 7?
I really was surprised that you gave it a 7.
That's why I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know what you're doing. Don't shake your head.
Because there was before I walked in this room.
The police chief was the last man to see his mom, who was studying spiders, I'm pretty sure, in the jungle.
All right, time to get to our big question, and there's probably plenty out there, and your gears are going to start turning a little bit, but what is the best final line of a movie. And this doesn't have to be the best in terms of what you think, is the best way to end a movie. What do you like? What is the best final line to you to end a movie? Jim, how about you go first?
This is so tough because there are movies that you're going, it's the end, and it makes an impression. Wow. That'll Do, Pig is right up there for me.
Really?
What? You don't like Babe?
I did not expect him to go there.
It's okay.
I love that movie. The original, okay?
Yeah.
There were money grabs after that, but the original is just a darn good movie.
Babe in the Forest.
I didn't think we were going to be discussing Babe much.
I mean,
It was not on my bingo card.
I was gonna first mention Casino Royale, but I feel like they did that like kind of intentionally. It was kind of a gimmick where they ended the movie with, James Bond. Go over.
Okay, so I thought about this, and I was going to tease mine, but I'm afraid Bradford might pick it. So we're going to circle back to that after he's done.
All right.
My answer is a movie that I brought up earlier in the show, The Usual Suspects.
Oh, no.
Yes.
When,
the devil?
The narrator says,
Yeah.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
You thought I was going to go with that?
No. I have another one that I don't want to tease. I was going to preface my, throw an extra kind of honorable mention in there, but I'm afraid you're going to take it. So I don't.
Those of you that didn't see some previous episodes recently, we have. You guys are like, okay, I got one. I'm going to use for the big question, and we find out we've stolen somebody else's answer. So,
well, since I'm going last, I'm going to have 2 honorable mentions,
and that's allowed. You're welcome.
So, first one is roads. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
We don't need roads. Yes, Back to the Future.
It's a great setup because it goes right into the next movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great one to make you go, oh, what's happening next? To the future. That's a great one, right?
The power in that line, by the way, is that they could have ended the series right then.
Yeah.
That could be the last one because it's just so romantic about what you're just watched.
Your imagination.
But instead, you're right. They used it for a sequel. So it's
great
perfect.
final line, though.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is I'll be right here.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yank
classic.
Just
hard out of your chest.
If you have never had an opportunity to see E.T. with a symphony orchestra,
or just on the screen, big screen.
Just
honestly,
take that
still
chance.
with E.T.'s music, right? It's emotional music.
It is.
But
So effective.
But the one that I'm going with is the one that kicked off an entire universe.
I think I know what this is.
Big one.
Okay, are you stealing Govers?
I'm not stealing Govers.
Okay, all right, doesn't count.
The truth is, I am Iron Man.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That was not it, but that's...
But what a way to end it.
What a way to end it, especially with the ad lib that we found out that was.
I
by Robert
didn't know
Downey
that.
Jr.
Okay.
To throw that out there, that launched the MCU. When you really truly think about it, that kicked everything off, and that was one of those lines that just came up with.
And
Robert Downey Jr. is awesome.
It wasn't in the script. That's cool. God, I love that. That is
Gover,
great.
what was the one you thought?
I was going to be. I'm not sure what movie it's in. It may be Age of Ultron, but Captain America steps up and goes. Steve Rogers says somebody goes Avengers, and then it goes to credits.
No, that's not the best because that was most frustrating.
Yes.
It was like just say the line, damn it.
It's
Which we get the payoff for like 20 films later.
Right, exactly.
Right, but it's so good.
That was a frustrating one.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Okay, that's fair, but I had to go with the kickoff.
I was in the right universe.
You were totally in the right universe.
Great.
So what's your favorite one? Because there's so many great ones out. There's a tremendous amount of final lines from a film. What are your favorite ones? You just need to tell us.
It's got to be the last line.
The last line.
Don't be like,
right.
No,
if there's another line after it,
line.
it doesn't count.
Yeah, right.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.